Stop for a second. Does this sound like you? You walk into a room and immediately feel the tension nobody else has noticed yet. You watch a stranger cry in a movie and have to pause it because you need a minute. Someone says something with a slight edge in their voice, barely noticeable, and you're still thinking about it 3 days later. If that's you, this video is going to feel like someone finally read your mind. Because what you experience isn't sensitivity. It isn't weakness. It isn't being too much. It is your nervous system operating on a completely different frequency from most people around you. And today, we're going to break down exactly what that means and why it might be the most powerful thing about you. Here's what nobody tells you. Researchers call it high sensory processing sensitivity. Psychologist Elaine Aron has studied it since the 1990s and found it in roughly 15 to 20% of the population. That means if you're in a room of 10 people, maybe 2 of you are wired this way. The rest genuinely cannot feel what you feel. Not because they're cold, because their brain literally doesn't process the world at the depth yours does.
Your brain takes everything, sounds, emotions, atmospheres, other people's unspoken pain, and processes it completely, thoroughly, like it refuses to let anything pass through without being fully understood. And while that sounds beautiful in theory, in practice, it means this. You are never not processing. Ever. And here's the part that nobody warns you about. The highs are enormous. A perfect song at the right moment. A genuine conversation that goes somewhere real. A quiet morning with the light coming through the window at exactly the right angle. These things don't just feel good to you, they feel like proof that life is worth everything. But the lows hit with the same intensity. Criticism doesn't sting and fade, it echoes for days. Conflict doesn't resolve in your body even after it resolves in the room. You replay conversations, not because you're paranoid, because your brain is still processing, still looking for what was really meant underneath the words, still trying to fully understand something that most people filed away and forgot about hours ago. You feel things other people don't even notice, and then you feel them alone, because nobody around you understands why you're still feeling them. Here's something that surprises people about deep feelers. They are not fragile. At all. They've been feeling things at full intensity their entire lives. Every wave. They've survived it. They know how to hold pain without being destroyed by it, because they've had decades of practice. What breaks them isn't feeling too much. It's being told they shouldn't.
You're overreacting. Why do you take everything so personally? It's not a big deal. Every one of those sentences doesn't just dismiss a reaction. It dismisses an entire way of existing. And after hearing them enough times, deep feelers learn to shrink, to edit themselves down, to perform a version of themselves that feels less, because feeling everything made the people around them uncomfortable. And that performance costs everything. Because here's the painful irony. The exact thing that makes them too much for some people is what makes them irreplaceable to others. They are the friends who actually listen. Not waiting for their turn to talk, actually listening. The ones who notice something is wrong before you've said a single word. The ones whose empathy isn't something they practice, it's something they can't turn off. Their sensitivity is the same source as their creativity, their intuition, their capacity for the kind of deep connection most people spend their whole lives searching for. You cannot have one without the other. It's the same river. And yet they spend so much energy managing it, dimming it, apologizing for it, trying to be easier for a world that was never built for people who feel at full volume.
There's a grief in that. The grief of always editing yourself, of leaving conversations wondering if you were too much again, of loving people so completely
that losing them doesn't just hurt, it reorganizes your entire interior world. They don't just miss people. They miss the exact feeling of being near them, the specific way certain people make the world go quiet. Here's what they need to hear, and almost never do. The depth is not the problem. The depth is the point. Everything worth feeling in this world, every piece of art, every genuine moment of human connection, every experience that makes life feel real, comes from people who refused to feel less. You don't need to feel less. You need to find the people and the places where feeling everything is finally understood as exactly what it is. Not a flaw, not a volume problem, a frequency most people never get to access. If this landed somewhere real, subscribe to Mind Candid. New psychology deep dives every week.